Just get yourself comfortable in your chair. Take your time, but see if you can build towards posture where you're forwards in your chair, and the weight in your feet. But whether or not you're actually in this posture, even if your back's not up to it, you may be sitting further back, that's fine. But just bring your attention into your body, feet, hips, shoulders. Be aware of your breathing. So there's a sense of drawing inwards, of gathering, of arriving. You'll have to make arrangements to be here, and sometimes we can sort of arrive at something and our minds are still elsewhere. So it's nice just to take that time to sort of finish one thing and start another. And bringing your attention in to your body, where you actually are, whatever way you're there. It's a good way of doing that. And a good starting point for Tai Chi, because that awareness that we build enables us to settle in and to begin to listen to our body, to be aware of what's happening with the body. With that awareness goes a sense of intention, and bring those qualities into the movements. Rubbing your hands together and tapping over your face. Loosen your jaw a little bit. Begin to work up over your head and neck. Down to one shoulder. See if you can feel the muscles of your shoulder and arm vibrating, going down the inside of your arm to your fingers up the outside. And then another shoulder. And on to the upper part of the chest. Down to your belly, quite light on your belly. And finally your legs. Come back to sitting. And again, just gradually and gently refining your posture. This is an ongoing process in Tai Chi. Nothing should be forced. So we might have an idea about what posture we want, how it can feel and so on. But rather than thinking that we're going to immediately get there, all of these qualities of mind and body are cultivated. They're an ongoing, really very gentle process. Gradually settling in. Just reflect for a few moments on how your body is supported. So obviously your chair is a key part of this. It's just below your hips and buttocks, of course, and maybe that would be the support for your back. Depending on how far forwards you are, you may or may not register that there's a bit of support from your feet. I'm fairly well forwards. I've tilted forwards a bit. If somebody were to come along and sort of pull my feet back underneath me, I'd probably tumble forwards. But it feels like they're helping to support. When you're back to support the front of your body, so able perhaps just to release some of the tightness in your belly, solar plexus, and chest and shoulders. And particularly people with a bit more experience of this posture, becoming aware of the inner support, skeleton, surrounding area, tendons, ligaments, muscles strongly associated with the skeleton, giving you this inner structure that enables the soft tissue further out in your body to just release tightness. Notice if there's any effect on things like breathing. One of the characteristics of posture is that it allows movement. This is what we're trying to do. We're trying to build a posture where we don't have to strain for movement, whether that be movements of the exercises, metabolic movement like breathing, circulation, digestion, or that sense, slightly more subtle sense of the flow, the momentum, the energy that we begin to build with the practices. So starting very gently, turning your head from one side to the other, feeling the subtle movements expanding and contracting in muscles of your neck and shoulders, maybe even the chest and your upper back. Not straining, so moderate the movement. These don't have to be big movements. Trying to retain that sense of space within the body. And then hands in front of the shoulders and circling your elbows back. Again, feeling what's happening in shoulders, chest, upper back, and in the sides of your body. Going forwards. Comes down to your sides, slightly out, so elbows just a bit bent, rotating your arms. Just trying to cultivate this movement. And with that in mind, when you do move, you want to go as far as you can, but not so far that you reintroduce tightening. So that generally means we go to something like 70 or 80% of the full movement. You get a quality sometimes described as a massaging quality or bathing quality. Winding your arms around. Back the other way. And now in this position, you can see I'm slightly angled forward, but I'm going to tilt my pelvis a little bit more. More of my weight goes into my feet, and then feeling that compression in my legs expanding back. Feel myself being pushed back. At the same time as though somebody's just taking hold of my trousers here. And as my feet push me back, my hips pull me back. So it means I can come up with a nice, easy going, smooth quality. Trying not to strain in shoulders, head, chest. So again, just becoming aware of this lovely flow of the movement. Something that is enhanced by one of the common images, of course, this image of moving through water. Just noting that your weight can move. You can direct your weight to different parts of the body, to your hips, to your feet in this instance. Now, if you turn a little bit in the middle of your body, more of your weight will be directed towards one leg. And then when you come back, it will be the opposite hip. So it'll come diagonal. If you turn the other way, it's the other diagonal. This time, when you go forwards, turn a little bit and you feel your weight flowing like water flowing to the opposite leg. And then roll your hips back, and again, that fluidity rolls back into the hip. You turn, you go to the opposite hip, it goes forwards. So we've got this combination, this quite powerful force that the flow of your weight. You imagine you had a bowl full of water and you started to swirl it around. It'd be quite difficult to control. You'd end up with water all over the floor. And this sort of movement is guided, directed through the turning in the center of your body. So now if we change the direction of the turn, the whole movement changes, then we end up in our head and our shoulders, and eventually our arms will follow this movement. Coming back to the central position, and then bring your foot up, push out, put your heel down, lower the board of your foot, gently press the foot into the ground, plant the foot. Just feeling that contact. Yeah. And then this time, having made that contact, again, roll the center forwards and let the weight flow into that leg and then back. The other side. First of all, planting the foot, but not moving the weight. And then the weight follow. And alternating from side to side, plant the foot down below your knee, turn through that central part, hips, waist, forwards, and then back. Plant the foot down, turn the opposite way. So when I talk about directing the movement of the weight, it's the central part of your body, the center, that is really the key area for directing the, whether that be moment our legs and our weight, a few moments our arms. Time on each side. Okay, so the hands drop down. Turn them again so they're palms forwards, and this time as you rotate your arms as we did before, again, pelvis rolling forwards, your weight moving forwards, and then gentle push from your feet and pull from your hips, rolling center your body back. So the movement is, how can we put it? Sort of is sourced in our feet, in our hips, guided by the ability to move in our center, to rotate forwards and backwards, to rotate left and right. Just beginning to recognize changes, sides, your back, onto your body. Again, there's patterns of expansion, traction. We're capable with all of these things of bringing a degree of intentionality to those changes. And finally, of course, arms are there. Most of the changes, most of what's required has happened before it reaches our arms, so they don't have to strain. Again, flow of the movement to be felt. This time, as you come back, don't turn your hands, just let your arms come back and swing through. Fisherman cast net. Push from the ground, hips going back, shoulders following, arms following. Gentle push from your hips to go forwards and again. Shoulders following, arms following. So we can begin to think a little bit more about our upper body, our arms. Our arms in particular, creating the shape that the movement ends up expressing. And that can be a very subtle process. And as you get to know the movements better, obviously it becomes more accessible. But this is a very straightforward movement. You see here, as I come back, my elbow bends a little bit. That pulls on my wrist. That pulls the fingers. Then when I go forwards, it's the shoulder, elbow, wrists, and fingers. I get this very smooth movement. Fisherman cast a net. But I remember somebody once saying that it reminded them of bowling, as in sort of like crown bowls, 10-pin bowls, that sort of movement there. That same sort of quality of movement begins to be expressed. We can begin to build that in Tai Chi, because so much of what's crucial to the movement has already happened before it reaches the arms. We don't have to create the whole movement. This time, imagine the ball behind your arm, and as you come back, you're rolling the ball in towards your chest. The images of the movement are one of the ways that we build that sense of intention. We imagine during the task, we have an intention to, in this instance, roll the ball in. We can also bring that intentionality to the awareness of subtle changes and patterns of expansion and contraction that we noticed earlier in the upper part of the body, to the transfer of our weight. So a sense of overall awareness carries the intention with it. This time, as your hands come up, turn them palm in, draw your elbows apart, feel the chest expanding, and then contract. This is pigeon spreads. Memory is another thing that feeds into our intention. So again, everybody doing this recognizes the exercise that too plays a role. So in different ways, mind and body start to come together and harmonize. So the sense of the energy building, sense of spacious quality, flow, quietness, stillness, all things that transcend what we think of as the sort of barrier almost between mind and one more time. Leaving your hands in front of your hips, your elbows will still come out a little bit, turning your hands and then pressing forward, your arms curving up, pushing away. So these three elements of the movement, the energy, different aspects of mind, the physical side of the movement, the body, all interacting. There might be times when we focus more on one aspect than another. We might use an awareness of the movement to help us to focus our attention. If you've had a busy morning or you've got a busy afternoon coming up, sometimes that means that our heads can feel quite kind of buzzy. It's hard to rest, hard to settle. Other times we might just gently use that sense of intention to sort of underpin the movement. We want to direct the movement, the energy, to certain areas of the body, or through certain patterns, certain shapes, certain images. Use that intentionality to direct the movement into areas that feel a bit stiff or a bit tight. It's time. Combine step-ins. Extend one foot, plant the foot. Pull back. The hands coming in towards your center. Change over. One more time on each side. And then bring your feet back. Pull your fingers into a hollow fist. Extending your arms out gently, rotating them. So that when you're back, hands are palm up. When you go forwards, they rotate towards palm. Rotation right up through your arm into your shoulder, not just in the wrists. So open your fingers, turn your hands out, widening again, expanding in your chest and your belly, winding your hands in, and pressing forward. One more time. This point, turn your hands palm down. Again, turning. Ease forwards, feel the lengthening through your back, spine, your arms and your fingers. Swinging across and coming back to the polishing the tape. So, not a big extension, but again, you should always feel as though you couldn't move it. So that we retain that space. And one of the things that we're trying to do is to really cultivate that harmonious quality in the inner movements of our body. Something that is a feature of Chinese medicine. So we don't want to get to a point where we're fighting against our own body. That at that point, we lose the sense of harmony. Now, I don't know what should be getting, but my picture's just frozen. Oh, I'll come back. I don't know whether people were able to see what was going on. For some reason, there was a hiccup, I suspect, in the internet. Let's do one more in each direction of this exercise. Polishing the table. Now, turning your hand on and with a gentle push down through the feet and hips, pushing your arms up a little bit, feeling the expansion in the upper part of your body. So the expansion starts here in the center of your body, and that will gently push your hips and your feet down in to the ground. Feeling that connection, very subtle in the chair, very important connection that you make. Giving the name to the movement, rooting down. Like a wave building up through your body and then draining away again. So it's almost like you're in the sea and your arms just being moved by the rise and fall of the water. One more time. Sending your hands out. Again, that same wave now building up underneath your arms. A slightly different image. The exercise is the wild goose. So it may be that the image of the bird in flight conveys certain qualities. still aware in the back of your mind of the basic posture, maybe qualities like breathing. Quite often we find that our breathing just quite naturally harmonizes with the patterns of expansion and contraction. Just unchanging. Heart in the clamps. Sitting back, sinking into your hips and then pushing. Don't try and manipulate your breathing. Don't hold your breath. So your breathing is not sort of necessarily following that pattern of movement. As long as it feels comfortable, you're able to breathe easily. That's the most important thing. Letting your hands drop down. Feeling the weight of your arms hanging from the shoulders. And then with the next push up, just on one side. Dragon plucks the stars from the sky. Wind your arm around. Let your attention rest for a moment in the center, sinking into the chair, and then pushing up on the opposite side. And back. The center and then the side. One more time. Bring both hands to a point where with the inside of your arm, you can lightly touch that central part of your body. And from there again, expanding, side of your arms, pushing straight up and back down. And then pushing. Again, it's just that moment of settling as your hands make contact side of the central part of your body. One more round of this, upwards and then sideways. As you push out, extend one foot, and then turn your hands palm up, ease forward, lengthening through back and spine and arms again, and sitting back, or then scooping the seam with the sky. This time, as your hands drop down, once again, roll your fingers into a hollow fist. This time, the movement is more diagonally upwards, slanting upwards. Just grasping the tiger's ears. From the sides. Same thing, scooping the sea. Helps, you might want to record that image of moving through water, helping with the flow of the movement, but also introducing a very subtle conditioning, strengthening as we move. And again, grasping the tiger's ears. Good. Now, let me think back. A bit earlier we did polishing the table, using the movement of the weight and the turning in the centre, draw the arms around in the circle. Very similar with this one. First of all, starting with your left hand turning, push the hand out, and then come back. And then same idea with the right hand, slightly forwards. And gradually what we want to do is by making the movements a little bit smaller, there starts to be an overlap in the circles. This is called stirring the beans. So as one side of your body expands, the other contracts, and then come back a little bit, go forwards. It's the left side contracting, expanding, a little bit of a turn in the center. Nice relaxed feeling in shoulders and upper back again, almost as though that area of the body is very gently massaged. Maybe not just the shoulders and back, where else do we notice those patterns of movement, that flow? One more on each side. And then coming back. Just aware of how this feels to sit like this, supported, not straining. These are qualities that we want to bring into the standing movements. And again, they're qualities that can flow through our intentions. Once again, before we stand, rubbing your hands together and tapping over your face. Move your head and neck. Shoulder. Arm. The side. The upper part of the chest. Down to your belly. And importantly, before we start to stand, our legs, let's get the feeling back into our legs after sitting. Blood flowing. And then pushing your heels up. Feeling the calf, side muscles, working with this. And circling your knees around, feeling the movement back into your hips. And back again. Okay, so then standing. I'm moving my chair out of the way, so I've got room to do the exercises. Some of the movements in particular, it can be interesting to use the chair for a little bit of support. Remember, one of the things that we're trying to do effectively the whole time is to release tightness in the body. And that can be quite difficult with some of the movements. So sometimes the support can help us do that. But the basic posture that we're looking for, feet directly below the hips, pointing forwards or maybe just a little bit turned out. Try and have your waist a little bit further forwards in your feet, perhaps than normal, and neutralize that feeling of almost falling forwards by just letting your hips drop back. So there's a slight curve through your legs. And then letting your hips drop down a little bit further until you feel your legs pushing you up, the body expanding and contracting. Remembering from the chair, both the qualities of the posture and also that specific sense of like a wave coming up through the body. And as in the chair, moving your hands around so you're cradling the ball. And that expansion in the body, pushing your elbows out, drawing your hands up, and then pressing down. Standing version of rooting down. Then we might employ that image of moving through water, helping us to develop both the flow and this strengthening quality, this quality of inner resilience that builds with practice. Subtle conditioning of the body, just muscles, the big mobilizing muscles, but postural muscle, tendon, ligament. And a kind of development of the quality of the movement itself. Not just moving through water, but moving like water. Both the flow and sort of density. Changing standing version of the wild goose. And then parting. Now, turn one foot out, step forwards with the other foot. Keeping the width of your step and the length of step about the same. And then once again, transferring your weight. So in the chair, transfer was between legs and feet and hips. Here, more sort of to do with legs, feet. But still, we want it to be very intentional, very guided. When we go forwards, we want our weight to go into our foot, not over there somewhere. So this is a really important quality to build. This ability to direct our weight into the place where it best serves us. And this is a key element of our mobility. Moving from the ground, try not to lean forwards or backwards. At the moment, you're only getting a portion of your weight into each leg. So when you go forwards, it will be something like 60%. When you go back, it's something like 70. But this time, go into your back leg, raise the front toes. There'll be a slight shift. More of your weight will go in. You'd have the front foot turned out here. Go forwards, push your back knee in so your heel comes up. And again, shift forwards just a little bit more. So now looking to find the alignment of your body, the root, not through two legs, through the chair, as we discovered earlier, but through one leg. And then bringing the foot in, you can step in, push out, put the ball of the foot down, lower your heel, gently plant the foot, push into the floor, and then move the weight. When you step forwards, then it'll be your heel, then the ball of your foot, then the planting. Go forwards. Don't rush this. And this is one of those exercises where you may find it useful to have a little bit of support, because we're trying to do this without tensing up. And that can be very difficult. It's not an easy exercise at any point. And particularly to begin with, but even those of you quite experienced, you might find it interesting just to have that little bit of support. It can be interesting how we still retain some sense of tightening. And sometimes having something to support us helps us to recognize that. But then starting again from the parallel stance with the other foot forwards. And transferring the weight. The legs are said to fill and empty. Back knee and raising your hip. Sinking back, raising the toes. So that percentage of the weight, 60% in the front, 70 and then 80. And then we can step in, trying to keep the pelvis level, hips sinking back. And then step out to the side, transferring from side to side. And then either going forwards or backwards. Take a few steps through. And change direction. Put your right foot forwards, mirror my movements. A few rounds of the standing version of fisherman casting it. Like going back, pulling your arms back, going forwards, pulling your arms. Center of your body, hips and your waist facing forwards here. So movement is very simple. Transfer of your weight forwards and backwards. Your upper body and your arms following that. And then the other side. So once again, we're going to combine this with stepping and also with the turning in the center of our body. So you can either go forwards or backwards. If you're going forwards, go forwards, turn a little bit to your right. So you turn away from the leg, bring the empty foot in, step out, planting the foot. This is dragonfly skims the water. Same thing, turning, bringing the foot in, planting the foot. And what you may find, don't feel rushed into doing this, you bring the foot in and just lift. Step out. Try not to stiffen up in your shoulders, your arms. And then change in direction. And bring the feet down. Shake it. Go back to your chairs. Again, with that exercise, it can be quite difficult and it can be useful to do it. You could do it just forwards and backwards. You could do this next to a wall, and that can maybe give you the confidence to really trust your body a little bit more, just because you know that the wall is there to catch you if you do stumble. Bear in mind that everybody will have a little wobble every now and then, but we learn to recover from that in Tai Chi. And this is one of the key things I think that we can learn from Tai Chi, that we're capable of coming back to these qualities of stillness, of being physically rooted and stable, being calm in the mind. This last exercise really emphasizing that, called Embrace Tiger, Return to Mountain. And it's all about this process of coming back into our center, into our root, followed by the expansion. It doesn't, we're not talking about withdrawing from the world here. So letting your hands drop down, and then feeling the push up, the expansion, pushing your arms out, bringing your arms around as though you're going to hold a ball against your chest, and letting your elbows drop, bringing your hands in, and then turning back down. Just feeling for yourself what it is that draws you back just for this moment or two, feeling very settled, very calm, and how that builds into expansion. One more time. And yes. Thank you very much. I don't know if the picture froze earlier. It did for me. Hopefully it was okay for you, but if not, I hope you managed to carry on. Thanks very much.
It was fine for me, Mike.